Dawn, hi. You strike me as one of those people who have a very clear purpose in life. And I would like to introduce you to our community, and I would like our community to get to know you better. We have met many years back, 8 to 10 years back, 10 years ago.
Yes.
I was in Maui and I was shopping. I was shopping for groceries, and suddenly there was a dog, border collie, crossing my path when I was driving to the parking spot. I thought, oh, what a nice dog. And there was one of your team members walking the dog. And then I finished my shopping and the dog crossed my path again. And at that point I thought, I can't really just drive off. So I stopped by and you had your little adoption event from the Hawaii Animal Rescue Foundation, which you are the founder of. We ended up taking the dog to Canada and adopting it to one of my friends.
Yeah.
Scout, the dog that I'm talking about, has lived a very happy life. From that time on, I guess we were connected, not necessarily in person, but somehow in spirit. And when the unfortunate events happened in Maui, took place in Maui in August 2023, a few weeks ago, we reconnected. And you're one of the organizations that our community and my team and I chose to give the donation to. We've been able to collect about 20, almost 24,000, and we have decided to commit about 20,000 to your organization. We really like to be completely transparent about what we do with the money we collect, and we also would like our community to know who you are and what you've been doing, and tell us a little bit about H.A.R.F. and see where it takes us today.
That'd be great. Thank you. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. Nice to see you too. I have to confess, like I had to tell everyone that we attempted to record the interview in your facility, but it was hot and the fans were running, so I ended up just basically calling and saying, "Hey, can we record it again?" So it's clear. So thank
Yeah,
you so much for making the time again.
my pleasure. My pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about H.A.R.F, about the Hawaii Animal Rescue Foundation, and also tell us about what's been happening in Maui and what you guys have been doing and how we can help more.
Okay. Well, the Hawaii Animal Rescue Foundation was started, it was conceptualized about 13 years ago by my business partner at the time and I. And it took us about 9 months to really decide what we were going to do and why we should do it and what our focus should be and where we would fit in the animal community in our island. After about that 9 month process of kind of putting that together and doing all the paperwork to start a nonprofit. In 2011, we started Hawaii Animal Rescue Foundation. It was just two of us. We didn't have a bunch of money to invest. We just had a mission. At the time, our shelter here on the island was a very high kill shelter. We were very unhappy with the situation. We both worked at that shelter for a few years and couldn't do it anymore. So we left. So we thought, well, what can we do? We don't have much to offer, but we can maybe save a dog. So we started going down to the local shelter and we would take one or two. We typically took the ones that were most at risk. And we made a partnership with the local pet store in Kihei, Kihei Pet Supply, still there. And they let us hold an adoption event on Saturdays. And we'd sit out front with one or two dogs and a little table and a donation box and just talk to people and see if we could find a home for that one dog. And so we continued to do that. We'd get the one dog adopted. We'd go get another one. And we just kept doing that, kept doing that, kept doing that. Eventually, we had the opportunity to change locations and because we got a Petco here. So we thought that might be a better location with a little more foot traffic. It was better. But ultimately, Whole Foods Market opened here in Hawaii and they said, hey, we'd love to have you for a one-day event. So we went and it was incredibly successful. And their marketing team and their staff loved it so much. They said, hey, maybe we can make this a permanent thing. So we did. So we've been at the Maui Mall in Kahului for we met you
Mm.
there. So it's probably been close to 10 years. And over all those years, we've adopted and rehomed over 6,000 dogs and puppies. As we grew, it was very grassroots. We were all volunteers. We didn't have any paid staff for many years until 2018. And then we hired one individual. But we always knew that our long term vision was to have an animal center, a place where people could go. Because the biggest part of our mission is not just to rescue dogs and find them new homes, but it's to make a true impact in the community and solve some of the problems and why animals come into shelters in the first place. So the biggest part of our mission is actually education. We work with a lot of children. We work with the Department of Education. And so we wanted to create a space where it would be very holistic. People could come and spend the day. They could bring their families. They could bring their children. They could get engaged. They could be involved. And so in 2017, from the kindness of a gentleman that made it possible, we were able to buy a 10-acre parcel in Waihe'e, which is kind of on the northeast side of the island, and with our goal of building a full-on animal center. We built one building. It's almost done. That's where we're at right now. That's all the barking you can hear in the background, and where you came and visited us a week or so ago. So that's where we're at right now. And we've had to switch gears in the last 3 weeks because we've been foster based all these years, and so we've relied on foster families to house and care for our adoptable pets. COVID changed that a lot for us, and we had to really readjust. And now we've got this disaster, which we've had to seriously readjust. And we're just grateful that our building was so close to completion that we actually were able to move animals into it when this disaster happened. So within about a 48-hour time frame, we had some of our kids group come out and help us put kennels together and figure out what we needed and where we were going to put animals and how we were going to actually make this work in such a short period of time. We thought we'd have months to do this planning process when we were actually ready to open, but we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're in our space. We've got probably, as of this morning, I think close to 50, 60 dogs, cats, rabbits, guinea pigs, whatnot.
Somehow by coincidentally landed in Maui just about a day before the fires happened or took place, and I could see how traumatized the whole island has been. And most people around the world know what happened in Maui, but I'd like you to kind of give us an idea of what, how it affected the animals, how it affected the families with animals, and what you've been doing to make it easier for the families and the animal friends that you're helping.
We always have had a core belief in keeping pets with their people. So a lot of times when people come to us with their pet potentially needing to surrender it, um, our first instinct is to see if there's any way we can, whatever problem they're having or whatever difficulty they're facing, if there's something we can do to resolve that so that the pet actually can stay with their family. So that really bleeds into what we're doing now, because all of these families, not so many, all of them have come to us and have lost everything. And they have escaped with their lives, and they've escaped with their pets. And so
Mm,
allowing them to keep
mm,
being here to help them keep whole is like one of our most very, very important goals at this point, because people are traumatized, the animals are traumatized, children are traumatized. It's affecting everyone. Even if you haven't lost your home or haven't been directly impacted, the whole community is impacted regardless. And so
mm,
being
mm,
able to just
mm.
kind of be here to help that healing and moving on process is really where we saw we could do something that other animal organizations just couldn't do, whereas they're doing things that we can't.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
collaborating and working together is really is so beneficial to everyone, and it makes us all be able to help in our very special way.
I like your philosophy of just basically fitting in the community and deciding what your niche is and how you do things. And every organization does it a little differently. What I've noticed when I visited you a week or so ago, 10 days ago, it was just really amazing. Number one, the team and how kind and loving they are with the animals. Like I've seen many team members just playing with the dogs, and you kind of have a system where you make sure that nobody is left behind and nobody feels alone. And that was really touching to me. Second, how amazingly orderly your facility is, despite the fact that you just opened and that you had like a flood of animals coming in. When I was there, it wasn't still as busy as it is now, based on what you're reporting, because
Yeah.
are animals found, or do people come to you and ask to basically house them and provide them shelter?
Mostly people are coming to us to ask for help. Um, most of the found animals are going to the local shelter so that they can hopefully be reunited if they've been separated from their family. The shelter here has the largest data bank of microchips. Most lost or displaced animals without a family are going to the local shelter, whereas families that still have their pets are looking for a temporary resource until they can figure out where they're going to be. Are they going to move? Are they going to be able to find a home?
Okay, so that's what you're doing. You're basically providing a retreat for the animals that right now do not have home with their families, but you
Yeah,
hope that they're going to be back with their families, which is
yeah,
amazing. I think that for every pet, it's very traumatic to lose their home, but also even
absolutely.
more so lose their family that is basically in distress and cannot look after them. So this is absolutely fantastic, and I'm really glad that we could have contributed as a community to this effort, and it makes me feel really good because I know that people may not know about you as much as, let's say, about some of the other organizations that are larger.
Yeah.
But I really like your model. I hope and trust that our community will not only be happy right now that we've been able to contribute as a group, but also that they will be in touch with you and will continue to kind of help in any way they can. What is the most beneficial help that people can provide to your organization?
Well, we've been very fortunate because, our community is so amazing. I think that's something special about Hawaii in general, and what draws people to Hawaii, besides just the physical beauty, is that just a sense of family, and we look out for each other. So when the fires happened, I mean, we were overwhelmed with people bringing dog food and cat food and just anything like that. Supplies. We had
Mm,
supplies
mm,
stacked 10 feet high, which is a great problem to have. And so, that's been great. And volunteers, just people just begging to help. But too much of a good thing sometimes just causes more issues. This is going to be a long situation, a long road ahead. And we're going to need help on a continued basis until, we see things improve. And so monetary donations are one of the keys. We can put those funds directly where we need them most, and we can adjust as things change. Because there's so many unknowns
mm,
that we don't
mm,
really know.
mm,
We can try to speculate, and we can, try to put all our brains together and be as prepared as
mm.
possible. But there's no guarantee that we're going to know what to expect. So we're just trying to run a small ship, utilize as much volunteer help as we can, and plan as far ahead as possible so that we can still be here when people need us, in the many months to come.
Let's say that there are some situations where the animals cannot be going back to their families for whatever reason, and sometimes even the most tragic cases where the people basically have perished and died. What do you do with those animals, and how do you approach your adoption kind of process?
Well, we actually, sadly, we're starting to get more families coming to us asking to surrender their pets. They're realizing that their lives are so uncertain that they don't feel that they can properly care for and provide a safe place for their pets, so they're asking us to take them. We're doing two things: is we are taking those pets in
Mm,
and making sure that they, have medical needs. Some of them need to be spayed and neutered. They're going to need to be vaccinated. Maybe the veterinarian will need to see them, depending on their overall health. A few of them are quite elderly, and we're sending them in for blood work and things like that because we have some concerns. But we had some initial pets in our care that were up for adoption, and what we did is we have a partnership with Helen Woodward Center in San Diego, and they're an amazing animal rescue organization. They reached out to us, and along with Alaska Airlines, they helped get us set up so that we could ship adoptable pets off the island to where people would greatly and easily adopt them. So last week we flew 20 adoptable dogs and cats through Alaska Air to Helen Woodward Center. Several of them have already been adopted. So we will continue to do that as Helen Woodward can assist. And then I have a feeling, as you know, as the weeks and the months roll by, we will probably have more interest locally to adopt.
Mhm,
But
mhm,
those surrendered pets, we're seeing more and more of them. We will be working on a plan to get them rehomed as soon as possible. Keeping them in our care long term is never good. You know, a home is always the best place. We are also we've always had a very wonderful foster base. So those animals that are adoptable, and if we need space here at our center, then we will be reaching out to foster families, and that way, at least if they're in temporary care, they can be in a home where there's less stress,
mhm,
less
mhm.
noise, a little more one-on-one attention. And if they go into foster, then of course we provide everything the foster family will need, food and dog beds and toys and medicine or whatever the case may be. We make sure that it's not a hardship for them because they're doing the hard work by taking the care of them day in and day out.
I feel, as a part-time resident of Maui, I feel like I understand the community and I understand how much dependence there is on tourism. I know that there have been different opinions. Some people are saying tourists don't come, we don't need you here. But my general perception is that the rest of the island, 90% of the island is fine, except now tourists are not coming, which kind of puts the whole island into under more economic stress, which affects the animals, it affects the pets. What do you think the ideal kind of solution is? You may choose not to comment, but I'd like to know. I'd like to know if there is and what your point of view is at this point, and how we can help as a community, worldwide community to Maui when it comes to that. Shall we stay away? Shall we come? Or what is the current opinion of what is the current situation?
That's a good question, and that's a hard question to answer. Initially, within the first week or so of the fires, the government, the mayor, the governor, were all saying, "Please stay away." And I believe that was very accurate at the time because there just were so many unknowns, and they were trying to recover DNA, especially the Lahaina downtown area that is no longer, was like a crime zone. And so they're trying to collect DNA so they could determine whether people were lost or not. And just be respectful of that process. But the truth is that is a very small portion of the island, and the rest of the island is not really impacted, except for some hotels that are housing families, and FEMA and Red Cross workers and things like that. And we highly depend on tourism for our livelihood. COVID was very hard on Hawaii. So it kind of has that similar feeling and fear, I think.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think that it's going to, over the coming weeks, I think that it's going to become more evident that people are welcome back. But I think initially the knee jerk response was to ask people to not to come because we didn't know how
Hmm.
challenging the
Hmm.
resources and
Hmm.
space would be to accommodate not only all the relief workers, but also to continue to serve tourists. And now they're opening up the Lahaina area. They finally allowed trapping teams for dogs and cats and other animals into the fire zone
Hmm.
yesterday. So that was a
Hmm.
Sunday morning for the first time. And then
Hmm. Hmm.
we're going to be at our 3 week mark. Now I think that the government is starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. They have a better understanding of the potential hazards in that area and how to keep people out of the area that shouldn't be there. I think that that's going to, the messaging, I think, in general, is going to be a little bit more positive to visitors.
Yeah, my general sense is that that it has to be treated in moderation. Like there is too much of restriction, and too many tourists is not good, and
Yeah.
no tourists is not good for the island either,
Hmm.
right? So
Exactly.
that makes a lot of sense. This has been a very traumatic event for Maui, and actually people around the world and people who are connected with Maui. Do you have any heartwarming stories or any stories that you could share with us?
I think some of the more heartwarming stories are when we first opened our doors to animals. We got a couple. That was it. And the majority of them were from a farm in Laniapoca, which is right on your way into the Lahaina area. And so it was a lot of rabbits and guinea pigs and things like that. But those first initial residents have come and gone. So the all the little critters went back to the farm. The farm is safe. The owner of the farm is incredibly grateful. And this is actually the second time she's had to evacuate some of her pets to our place. I don't know. There was a
Mm,
fire there about, I think it was close to last summer. And instead of rabbits and guinea pigs, last time we had about 15 goats and about a dozen huge African sulcata tortoises. So it was a little bit more of an intense visit. Um, but the nice thing is that those guys got to go home. We had a very sweet family that brought a tiny little kitten, and she spent 2 days with us, and everybody, all they wanted to do was hold her, and she just wanted to sit in your lap and purr. And they
mm,
moved in with family that had
mm,
room, and so that kitty went home. So they got to stay, they got to go home. A lot of the residents since then are still here. But and
mm,
the good news
mm.
is all of our adoptables all went to the mainland, and they're all getting adopted as we speak. That is just a wonderful thing. It lets us be able to focus on where our efforts are needed most and know that they're safe. So there's always some beautiful, inspiring things that happen and people that you meet, even in the worst of times. So keeping that in mind, and counting your blessings, I think is really important.
And being grateful. And what you said about the community, I completely agree with you that the island community has always known how to pull together when there was a time of crisis. And that's what makes it very unique and very beautiful. And I hope that I wish you all the best. And I will definitely be at your door shortly, within a few months again. And I hope that we'll be able to also uh, make some progress when it comes to helping people to understand how to look after their animals, how to be empowered, how to basically ensure that they're well. Because from my perspective, our animal friends are one of the most important elements of good life. Like I always say
Absolutely.
there's the person who says doesn't like animals. It's just a matter of time until one animal takes their heart, right? Like
Yep.
I have a friend whose husband didn't want to have a dog, didn't want to have a dog until they got Maisie, which is their little doggy now, and he is totally lost
Yep.
in love
Probably
for
wonders how we
Maisie.
ever,
So
yeah, probably wonders how we ever got along without her in the first place.
I know, I know, I know.
Yep.
So thank you
Yeah.
so much for your time. Appreciate you
Thank you.
so much. And we will be in touch. And for everyone, if you would like to visit HARF, the website is
It's harfcenter.org.
so it's HARF Center, TER, .org. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Dawn. We'll talk soon,
Thank you.
okay? Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.